How does the average Japanese home keep its lawn thick, green, and weed-free for 4 generations, with no fertilizer schedule, no irrigation system, and not a single chemical input? Meanwhile, you've tried everything, and your lawn still doesn't look the way you want it to look. The 4-step Scots program didn't help. The professional lawn service that overcharged you didn't help either. Japanese lawn professionals build their lawns on a principle that puts the entire American lawn care industry to shame. Instead of feeding the grass, you have to fix and feed the soil. Almost every problem on your lawn traces back to the same root cause. Soil that has been worn down by years of synthetic chemicals, and once you understand the detail, everything else falls into place. First, we're going to walk through the Japanese method for every common American lawn problem. One by one: brown patches, bare spots, grubs, drainage, dog spots, weeds, and the yellow color no fertilizer can green up, using simple methods that cost a fraction of what you are spending now and do not poison anything in your yard. Then I will show you the small set of habits Japanese gardeners follow across the year so none of the problems ever come back. Let's start with the most visible problem in July: brown circular patches and dead spots scattered across the lawn, the kind that look like the sprinkler skipped a section. They are not from drought, and they are not from grubs. They are a fungus called brown patch, Rhizoctonia solani, and it almost always traces back to one habit: watering at night. The grass blades stay wet for 10 or 12 hours in warm, humid air, and the fungus has all the time it needs to spread. The Japanese solution is split into 2 parts. First, stop watering at night entirely. Water only at sunrise, so the blades dry by mid-morning. Second, take cornmeal, yes, the cornmeal from the grocery store baking aisle, and spread it across each brown patch at 1 pound per 100 square feet. Cornmeal hosts a soil fungus called trichoderma that outcompetes brown patch and shuts it down. Texas A&M agricultural research has documented this for decades. The patches recover in 2 to 3 weeks at a total cost of about $10 for the whole yard. Quick word before we go further. I have written a book that gathers all of the money-saving methods the Japanese have used for centuries to keep their land, home, and family in good order. It is at thejapanesemethod.com. Scan the QR code or click the link below to get your copy. I will not bring it up again, so if you want it, it is there. Now for the weeds growing in the lawn itself: the clover, the dandelions, the plantain, the crabgrass. Every lawn weed in America is growing where the grass is too thin to compete. Weeds do not steal space from a healthy, dense lawn. They fill in the gaps where the lawn has already lost. The Japanese solution is density. Overseed at 2 to 3 times the recommended bag rate in early fall, which is genuinely the only seasoned grass seed, establishes well in the American climate. A thick lawn has no exposed soil for weed seeds to germinate in. For the weeds already there, use the Kusumashiri method from my driveway weeds video from last week. The morning after a good rain, when the soil is soft, grip each weed at the base and pull slowly straight up. The whole root lifts out cleanly. 5 minutes a day, done attentively, replaces every bottle of weed killer in your garage. Next, for the bare spots near walkways, gates, the swing set, and the path the kids cut through to the neighbor's yard, the problem is not lack of seed. It doesn't matter how many times you reseed, the soil is too compacted for the seed to take hold. The actual problem is soil compaction. Years of foot traffic have compressed the soil under that spot down to the density of a sidewalk, and grass roots cannot push through it. The Japanese solution is a garden fork, the kind with 4 flat tines, not the round tine pitchfork, pushed straight into the bare area every 6 inches, then rocked back and forth gently to fracture the compacted soil without lifting it. Top dress with a 1/4 inch of compost. Reseed in early fall. The bare spot fills in within 1 growing season and stays filled because the soil underneath is finally able to breathe. Now the grub problem, and there is a real irony here. The white grubs eating the roots of your lawn are mostly the larvae of the Japanese beetle. The name is honest about where the bug came from. Japan brought to the United States accidentally in 1916 on a shipment of iris bulbs. But here's what doesn't make the textbook. Japanese beetles are not actually a problem in Japan. They exist there, but in such low numbers that no Japanese homeowner has ever heard of grub damage. The reason is that Japanese soil supports a full ecosystem of beneficial nematodes, parasitic wasps, ground beetles, and birds that keep grub populations in check. American soil, after decades of synthetic chemicals, supports almost none of those predators anymore. The grubs population explodes here because nothing is left to eat them. The Japanese method is to restore the missing predator. Beneficial nematodes, microscopic predator worms, are sold at any garden center for about $25 a package. Drench the lawn with them at dusk in late August when grub larvae are most vulnerable, using a regular hose end sprayer. The nematodes hunt down the grubs and kill them within days. No chemicals are used, and there is no harm done to earthworms, birds, pets, or the lawn itself. Restore the predator. Do not poison the prey. Now, let me say something clearly about chemical grub control, because the internet is full of bad advice on this one. The standard recommendation is to dump a bag of GrubX or 7 on the lawn every spring. The problem is that the active ingredient does not stay where you put it. It moves through the soil, it kills earthworms for 2 to 3 years, it kills the beneficial nematodes that would have controlled the next grub generation, and it kills the soil fungi that grow the lawn's root system. By year 3 on chemical grub control, the lawn is dependent on the chemical, because everything underneath that would have done the job naturally is gone. Honestly, just skip it. The nematodes do the same job permanently. For the soggy spots that never quite dry out, usually at the base of a downspout in a low corner of the yard, or in the flat area below a slope, the cause is subsoil compaction below the topsoil. The top 6 inches drain fine. The clay layer 12 inches down is solid as a brick, so water sits on top of it. The American solution is an expensive French drain installed by a contractor for $2,000 to $4,000. The Japanese method is to make a 4-inch hole augured every 3 feet across the wet area, drilled with a rented hand auger or a power auger, then backfilled with washed gravel up to 2 inches below the surface, with topsoil and grass seed on top. Water now runs through the topsoil into each gravel column, then drains laterally into the deeper soil. About $40 of materials, half a day of work, drainage solved permanently. For the yellow burn spots where the dog goes, the cause is concentrated nitrogen and salts in the urine, which the grass cannot process fast enough. The Japanese solution is fast and free. Dilute every spot within 5 minutes of the dog going by pouring a watering can of plain water over it. The nitrogen disperses, the salts wash deeper, the grass survives. For the spots that are already burned, reseed them with perennial ryegrass instead of Kentucky bluegrass. Perennial ryegrass tolerates urine salts significantly better, and the yellow spots stop forming once the ryegrass establishes. About $30 of seed handles an average yard. For the yellow color that won't go away no matter how much fertilizer you put down, and almost every American homeowner has tried this, the cause is almost never a nitrogen deficiency. It is an iron deficiency. The grass blade needs iron to produce chlorophyll, the green pigment, and most American lawns are starved for it. A bottle of chelated iron supplement costs about $15 at any garden center. Mix it with water according to the label and spray it across the lawn with a hose end sprayer. The lawn turns deep emerald green within 48 hours, and the change is so dramatic the neighbors notice. Most American homeowners have been pouring more and more nitrogen onto a lawn that was starving for iron the whole time. Quick before we go on, let me know in the comments what you have been putting on your lawn this year. Bag of Scott's, professional service, weed and feed, all of the above. And did it actually work? Now let me say something clearly about the 4-step fertilizer program, because the internet is full of bad advice on this one too, and this is the central villain in American lawn care. The bag at Home Depot, the bag at Lowe's, the Scott's program, the Lesco program. Every brand on that aisle does the same thing. Synthetic NPK fertilizer is a sugar rush for the grass blade. It produces fast green growth above ground while doing almost nothing for root depth. The grass becomes dependent. Drop the program for 1 month and the lawn collapses because it never built a real root system underneath. Meanwhile, the synthetic salts in the fertilizer slowly kill the soil microbiome, the bacteria, the fungi, the earthworms, that builds natural fertility on its own. Every year you need slightly more product to get the same result. Every American lawn on a 4-step program is a junkie that does not know it. The Japanese soil approach builds a lawn that does not need feeding because the soil is alive and feeding the grass for free. Honestly, just skip it. Same goes for everything else in that aisle. The pre-emergent crabgrass killers kill earthworms and the same beneficial soil fungi that would have prevented your grub damage. The weed and feed combinations contain herbicides that have been linked in repeated peer-reviewed studies to non-Hodgkin lymphoma in homeowners, and the trade-off for a few dandelions is not worth it. The lime that the Garden Center recommends every spring is only useful if a soil test actually shows your soil is too acidic, and most American lawns do not need lime at all. The daily light watering routine the irrigation contractor sets up creates a shallow-rooted lawn that bakes the moment a hot week arrives. None of that is necessary. What we're about to set up doesn't need any of it because it works on a completely different principle, and I'll get to that in a minute. One last honest thing to say before we get to the prevention. If your lawn has been on chemical programs for 10 years or more, the soil underneath is essentially dead, and the transition to the Japanese approach takes 2 to 3 growing seasons to fully kick in. The first year you stop dumping synthetic fertilizer, the lawn looks worse before it looks better. The dandelions get bolder before the density wins. By the end of season 2, the lawn is recovering. By season 3, it is thicker, greener, and lower maintenance than it ever was on chemicals. The Japanese answer to impatience: think in seasons, not weekends. Now we get to the part that actually deserves the word Japanese, and the part that justifies calling this method a permanent solution. The solutions and methods we just walked through handle what is already wrong out there. What comes next is what makes sure nothing goes wrong again. The Japanese principle behind every healthy lawn in Japan is tsuchizukuri, soil making. A Japanese gardener does not grow grass. They spend years quietly building a living layer of soil, and the grass just shows up and thrives in it. Once you understand that, the entire American lawn care industry looks backwards. Start with the mowing height, because almost every American mows too short. The right height is 3.5 to 4 inches in summer and 3 inches in spring and fall. Most Americans mow at 2 to 2.5 because that is how the golf course looks. Here's what nobody tells you. A residential lawn cut at 2 inches scalps the crown of each grass plant, encourages weed germination, dries out twice as fast as a taller lawn, and develops shallow roots that cannot survive the first heat wave. A lawn cut at 4 inches has roots that grow 8 to 12 inches deep, shades out weed seeds before they can germinate, holds moisture during droughts, and looks dense and lush instead of thin and pale. Set the mower one notch higher than you think looks right. After 2 weeks, you will not want to go back. The watering rhythm is 1 deep watering per week, applied at sunrise, to a depth of 6 inches into the soil. Test it by pushing a screwdriver into the lawn after watering. If the screwdriver goes in 6 inches, you are done. If it stops at 2, you have not watered enough. Deep infrequent watering forces the roots to chase the moisture downward into the cool soil. Shallow daily watering trains the roots to stay in the top inch where they bake the moment a hot week hits. The Japanese principle here is the same as everywhere else in this channel. Work with the way the plant actually grows, not against it. Leave the grass clippings on the lawn after mowing. This single habit, ignored by almost every American homeowner, returns about $50 of nitrogen to the lawn every year. Nitrogen you are currently paying to bag up, throw away, and then rebuy in fertilizer form. The seasonal calendar is the Japanese Osuji rhythm transferred to a lawn. 3 small jobs across the year, each taking a couple of hours. In mid-spring, top dress the lawn with a 1/4 inch of finished compost spread by hand and raked in lightly. The compost feeds the soil microbiome that feeds the grass. In late spring, fork aerate the lawn, the same garden fork from the bare spots fix, every 6 to 8 inches across the whole lawn, when the grass is actively growing and can fill in the holes. In early September, overseed the lawn at 2 times the bag rate, using a quality seed blend matched to your region. The cool nights and warm soil of early fall are the only window in the American climate where new grass establishes reliably. 3 sessions a year. About 4 hours total. That is the entire lawn care calendar. There's a detail in the Japanese approach worth pausing on because it tells you something about how seriously Japanese gardeners take the soil itself. In rural Japan, the practice of bokashi composting has been used for at least 400 years. Kitchen scraps, rice straw, wood ash, and a small amount of rice bran are layered together and allowed to ferment anaerobically for a few weeks, producing a soil amendment so rich in microbial life that a thin layer worked into a tired lawn will visibly change the color of the grass within a month. None of that is in the YouTube tutorials. None of it is at the garden center. But it is the reason that the moss garden at Saihoji Temple in Kyoto, planted nearly 700 years ago, is still living and still being tended today by the same family of caretakers. The lawn under your feet does not need to last 700 years, but the principle scales down. Feed the soil, and the soil feeds everything above it for as long as you live there. That brings me to the shady corners where grass never grows no matter what you do. Under the maple tree along the north side of the garage, behind the shed. Stop fighting it. In Japan, those spots are planted with kokaniwa, moss garden. Moss is one of the most beautiful ground covers in the world, asks for absolutely nothing in return, holds the soil in place better than grass ever could, and is the reason Japanese gardens are world famous. A 4-hour shade pocket wants to be moss, not grass. The Japanese figured that out 1,000 years ago. The American homeowner is still pouring 6 bags of grass seed a year into a spot that will never grow grass. There is one more piece of timing wisdom worth mentioning because it makes everything else easier. Aerate in spring, not fall. The standard American advice is to aerate in fall, and it is wrong. Aerating in spring means the grass is actively growing and fills in the holes within weeks. Aerating in fall leaves the holes open through winter, where they collect water, freeze, and do nothing useful. Water at sunrise? Not in the evening. The blades need 12 hours to dry before the next humid night. Mow when the grass is dry, never wet. Overseed in mid-September, not April. Most American homeowners get all 4 of these backwards, and the lawn pays the price every year. A quick word on what to do when something is not working, because every lawn has at least one section that seems determined to fail no matter what you do. If a part of the lawn keeps going thin brown or weedy despite everything in this video, the answer is almost never visible from above ground. A $15 soil test from your county agricultural extension office tells you exactly what is happening. Low organic matter, compacted clay layer, wrong pH, iron deficiency, phosphorus lockout. The test takes 10 minutes to send off and 2 weeks to come back, and it replaces years of guesswork. The Japanese answer to mystery lawn failures. Test the soil, fix the cause, the symptoms disappear. Let us talk costs. Beneficial nematodes for the grubs, $25 a season. Cornmeal for the brown patch, $10. Compost for the spring top dressing, free if you make it, $30 a year if you buy it. Grass seed for the fall overseeding, $30. Chelated iron supplement, $15. Soil test, $15. The whole annual cost of maintaining a healthy American lawn the Japanese way comes to about $125 a year. Compare that to the average American spend on lawn care, which sits somewhere between $500 and $1,500 a year on a lawn that is slowly getting worse. The math is not close, and the gap widens every year as the chemical lawn weakens and the soil-fed lawn gets stronger. Let me give you a practical routine you can start this season. This weekend, walk the lawn with a notebook and identify which of the 7 problems you actually have. Brown patches, bare spots, grubs, drainage, dog spots, weeds, or yellow color. Treat each one with the specific Japanese method we walked through. The weekend after that, fork aerate the lawn if it has been more than a year since the last aeration, and top dress with a 1/4 inch of compost. In mid-September, overseed at twice the bag rate. From then on, the calendar is simple. Mow at 3.5 to 4 inches. Water once a week at sunrise, deeply. Leave the clippings. Apply nematodes once in late August. Top up the iron in midsummer if the green starts to fade. That is the entire year. The whole maintenance load comes to about 10 hours spread across the season. Compare that to the every Saturday cycle most American homeowners are stuck in. The deeper lesson here is not really about lawns or fertilizer or aeration. It is about a way of thinking. The Japanese approach to anything that grows, to a lawn, to a garden, to the soil under a house, rests on one quiet idea. Feed the system, not the symptom. Build the soil and the grass takes care of itself. tend slowly across years rather than wage one big battle every weekend. Most of the modern American approach to lawn care has been shaped by companies selling you the next bag. The Japanese approach is shaped by households who have already learned that the next bag is the problem. Once you see the difference, you cannot unsee it. Your lawn does not have to be a battleground every summer. Your weekend does not need to be lost to a spreader and a bag of synthetic nitrogen. The lawn just needs the right mowing height, one weekly watering, the right seasonal calendar, and the small ongoing attention that a Japanese gardener would call normal. Your yard becomes the one on the block that looks effortlessly perfect, and your neighbors will assume you're paying a service they cannot afford. The truth is, you stopped paying anyone, and the soil started doing the work. If you want all of this in one place, it is all laid out step by step in the Complete Japanese Method Guidebook. Scan the QR code on the screen or click the link below to get your copy. Let me know down in the comments which lawn problem has been driving you crazy the longest. And hit the subscribe button for more on the Japanese method. Next week, we are covering the Japanese method for taking your backyard back from mosquitoes, ticks, and wasps without a single can of bug spray. See you then.